Hey BBYO, do you love awesome programs? If you do, you should sign up for the Game Changer Innovation Granting Committee now. It is super awesome and we get to fund incredible programs all over the movement.
That's the voice of Vancouver's Levi Moskovitz doing a promotional video on Instagram. He's urging teens who are members of BBYO to apply for microgrants to cover special programming in their home communities. Things like bringing in a high-profile speaker, an outing at an escape room, or Shabbat events, including like this coming weekend's Global Shabbat, where thousands of Jewish teens in nearly 70 countries will spend the weekend immersed in meaningful BBYO Jewish experiences. Levi Moskovitz actually holds the purse strings for the global Jewish teen body. He's a grade 12 student at Vancouver's King David High School, and he's BBYO's Grand Aleph Gizbor, or teen treasurer of the International Board. He's also the only Canadian in such a high-profile position. BBYO is based in Washington, D.C., and offers Jewish teens from Poland to Australia a way to connect with other Jews outside the synagogue system through local chapter activities and summer camps, trips to Israel, and the famous annual convention, which attracts about 5,000 teens, which is where Moskovitz got elected this past February for his one-year term. He's also just overseen BBYO's massive one-day fundraising campaign, held last week, December 2nd, on Giving Tuesday. They raised over $1.5 million in 20 countries. Canadian teens raised $50,000 alone. Now, BBYO started out in 1924 in Nebraska as part of B'nai B'rith International because Jewish young people found themselves barred from Gentile fraternities and sororities, so they created AZA for young men and later the girls' division known as BBG. Now, for generations, this organization was very popular. Levi's own grandparents even met at a BBYO event. And although membership waned about 25 years ago, BBYO has since cut ties with B'nai B'rith and now counts over 70,000 teens as members, and it's growing again. Much of the growth in the Vancouver area has been in no small part thanks to the Moskovitz family, taking it from a handful of boys meeting to play cards to a solid 200 to 300 members in several chapters.
And they're all striving for that perfect program that they can make to host more teens, more Jewish teens, just get them together so that Jewish teens feel comfortable and are excited about building a Jewish community in the future.
I'm Ellen Besner, and this is what Jewish Canada sounds like for Friday, December 12th, 2025. Welcome to North Star, a podcast of the Canadian Jewish News, made possible thanks to the generous support of the Ira Gluskin and Maxine Granovsky-Gluskin Charitable Foundation. If you're a regular CJN reader, you might have seen Levi Moskovitz's name recently in our paper. In late October, Mitch Konski, our campus correspondent, profiled him as a high achiever, and we put the link in the show notes if you missed that. Now, Mitch didn't reveal who sent us Levi's name, but I'm guessing it's something his father, Rabbi Dan Moskovitz, might have done. Rabbi Moskovitz heads Vancouver's Temple Shalom, and he has quite the BBYO pedigree himself. He was BBYO International's Grand Aleph Gadol, or president, back in his day, nearly 40 years ago. It's actually a family tradition, starting with Levi's grandparents. Levi's older brother Judah was the last Canadian elected to the BBYO board in 2023, and now their younger sister Esty is working her way up through the regional chapter. So just ahead of BBYO's Global Shabbat, we're joined from Vancouver by Levi Moskovitz and by his father, Rabbi Dan, and we're also joined by Winnipeg's BBYO director, Jonah Posner, to discuss why the Legacy Youth Group is having such a renaissance.
Thank you for having us, Ellen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, it's really great to meet you. Congratulations on the resurgence of this youth movement. I guess we should tell our listeners, Levi, why you are so important to this whole resurgence.
Well, I serve as the 8th Grand Aleph Gizbor, which is the international treasurer. I mean, you could say I'm important on the international level with BBYO, but we're really, especially in my role this year, we're pushing more growth in Canada in particular. The base of our movement is the chapters, and that's really what's been growing. In BC, last year, we were a one chapter region. We were about 30 teens on a good day. And now we've grown to four active chapters all over the lower mainland and in the smaller communities of BC. And we're reaching approximately 200 members or 300 people during the school year, which is really good.
And then maybe they go to camp.
Yeah. And we're sending them to BBYO summer programs in Pennsylvania and all over the world.
Rabbi Dan, you, of course, were in Aleph Gadol, which I guess is the big leader in your day internationally. What drew you to it in your day?
I mean, there's a lot different from being a teenager in the 80s and being a teenager today. We didn't have the internet. There were a whole bunch of things we didn't have. But the desire to seek out friends, seek out other Jewish youth, to have some sense of identity and companionship in high school, I think that is, pretty timeless. I grew up in a house where my older siblings were in BBYO. My parents met in BBYO. My grandparents were advisors. This is in the San Francisco Bay Area in the 1940s and 50s. So it was kind of baked in, but there was never assumed either, I guess. Really, I joined BBYO to play softball. I mean, the AZA chapter met across the street from my conservative synagogue, and my mother, who was the director of education at the conservative synagogue, would send the maintenance guy over to the baseball field to get me from the AZA softball game and bring me back to Hebrew school. Because I guess in some ways I was a Hebrew school truant.
I was going to say playing hooky.
Right. So, I was seeking friendship, and ultimately I found meaning. And I did go on to become the international president, the Grand Aleph Gizbor of AZA in the 1989, 1990. And it's the reason I became a rabbi. There's no doubt about it. I learned to love Jewish community. I learned many of the skills that I use today as a rabbi in terms of leadership and program planning and speaking. I learned in BBYO.
There's a lot of competition. You mentioned that you didn't have the internet, neither did we growing up. But now there's all kinds of other things that are attractive and have attention for young people. So there's also 5 other types of youth teen groups competing for bottoms and seats, as they say. There's Nifty, there's USY, there's a whole bunch of other ones. Where does BBYO sit in this universe?
So first of all, what differentiates it is not synagogue-based. It's not movement-based. It's a pluralistic movement. There's a place for everyone along and beyond the Jewish spectrum of practice. I mean, I grew up in BBYO where we had Orthodox kids and kids that were in the Reform movement and in the Orthodox movement and in no movement. So part of the secret sauce is that you don't have to be synagogue affiliated. So we live in a world where people are less affiliated with synagogues more and more. So this allows, particularly in small communities where there might be only one synagogue, this allows for those kids, and we're finding this in Vancouver, in those outlying areas where there are no synagogues, to still find a place for Jewish gathering and Jewish identity. And they have 4,500 Jewish teenagers at their annual convention, the largest gathering of Jewish youth anywhere in the world. And there's 70,000 BBYOers across 60 some odd countries, 2,500 or so in Canada. When you have this density of population, when all the cool kids kind of show up at your place, more kids want to come. So BBYO has the numbers and it has the resources. It has tremendous funding and incredible leadership. People like Jonah, who grew up in the organization and go on to become leaders in it. And it just becomes this wonderful renewal process of creating the next generation of Jewish leaders and today's Jewish leaders.
I do want to hear from your son, Levi. How do you get people to come? Is it the cool place for kids? Or, are they busy with their sports and they're, volunteering and you're getting ready to go off to write your college, exams and what have you?
Really, it comes down to wanting that Jewish community and coming together with, at least in AZA, you come together with a bunch of guys and you just play basketball at the park, or you play poker, or you're just hanging out at the JCC. And I think, as my dad said, we have an ability to target rural Jews or Jews that are in smaller communities. There's a reason our first chapter in BBYO was in Omaha, Nebraska, like in the middle of nowhere. It's because we're able to find those isolated Jews and really bring them into our community.
So how do you see the attraction in your peer group?
Well, we're creating a lot of new opportunities. We have the international body of BBYO, so there's IC, International Convention, and there's international leadership opportunities like the ILN. And then there's that leadership opportunity on a regional level and on a chapter level where we're a team-led organization. That means we have a democratically elected chapter board, we have a democratically elected regional board.
Ever since October 7th, 2023, Muslim and Jewish communities in Canada have been torn apart.
I've known you for 20 years. You've been at my house for Shabbat supper, I don't know how many times. And for 1 second, you can't put down your friend and just hold my hand?
We're fed a constant stream of Jews and Muslims talking at each other, about each other, but rarely do we hear them talking to each other.
There was, why are you doing this? What's the benefit of doing this?
This podcast aims to do something different. I'm Avi Feingold, a rabbi and a writer with the Canadian Jewish News.
I'm Yafa Sakeja, a Canadian-Palestinian entrepreneur and volunteer with the Canadian Friends of Standing Together.
We're sitting down with Jews and Muslims, Israelis and Palestinians from coast to coast and across the political divide, having difficult conversations in good faith.
We are not the Israeli government. Palestinians are not Hamas.
This is the place where we're both supposed to end up, Israeli and Palestinian, Arab and Jewish.
Subscribe to In Good Faith, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Okay, I have to ask, is it true that you have to say a secret word to become a member of AZA and it's Ami when you walk into a meeting?
Well, we can't tell you the secret word.
No, but is that a thing? That's what it says.
You know, BBYO started off as a fraternity because Jews in the 1920s weren't allowed to join fraternities.
The Greek fraternities, right?
Right. So those rights that come with fraternities, whether it's secret handshakes or secret words or rituals and sort of a liturgy of the business meeting, those actually have maintained and continue to this day. I was at BBYO, the convention where Levi was elected last February in Denver, Colorado, and the words that they say to start their meetings are the exact same ones that I said back in the 80s, that my parents said back in the 40s.
Are we allowed to know what it is?
Yeah, if you join, sure.
You don't have to drink blood out of a skull or something. No.
No, you don't have to do that.
Nothing quite so like that.
Yeah, we should mention though, there's 3 guys on this. You know, BBG has their own rituals. They celebrated their 80th year, I think it is, just this past year or so when BBYO celebrated its 100th. And they also have their own rituals and traditions, and it's a beautiful part of the organization. They're anchored in Judaism for sure. There's a menorah pledge. There's the 7 cardinal principles of which Judaism is woven throughout them. And
You have to wear your pin a certain way so that not to be perfect. I love it.
to wear your pin a certain way. And there's the blue book and the red book.
I'm all in on this. I love it.
It's fun. We need more of those things. And it's analog. That's the other thing. I think kids gravitate towards parts of BBYO because they are not digital, because they are face-to-face, panim al panim, because they are old school. We're going to read these words and have this handshake and hold up this banner and wear this T-shirt. And like we said at the beginning, some of those things are timeless.
Speaking of what you have to do, so February is the convention in Philadelphia. And are you going to lose that position now, or is it a 2-year position, Levi? How does it work for you?
My term is only 1 year, so they're going to elect the 9th Grand Aleph Gizbor and the entirety of the 102nd Grand Board and the 82nd International Board for the BBGs.
Why were you the 8th? They didn't have one before?
Yeah, well, some positions are newly implemented into the International Board, so mine is only 8 years old.
So what is it that you have to do? Do you get actually your fingers on the bank accounts and you can decide where the money goes? Or how is it more of an advisory role? Levi, tell us a little bit more what you actually do.
Sure. So I am the chair of the granting committee for BBYO, which is called the Game Changer Granting Committee. And we allocate about $45,000 in grants a year all over the movement. I also am responsible for Giving BBYO Day, which is our Giving Tuesday, and that's on December 2nd, 2025 this year, and we raise over $1 million for BBYO that day. And I also spearhead our philanthropic arm, which is the ISF, and that's how we give to worthy causes all over the world.
Wow.
So those are my big three roles.
What are you majoring in school? Are you doing finance or economics or accounting? Seriously.
Well, I'm in high school right now, but when I go to university, I plan to go into finance. Yes.
So it's amazing for the CV.
It's great experience, and I learn a lot about the transfer of money too.
While you're mentioning granting, in Winnipeg, I read that some of the fundraising was for a Vivian Silver scholarship. Jonah, what was that about? And is that something that is new or what?
Yes, so we have very generous benefactors, Earl and Cheryl Barish, that live in Winnipeg. They have contributed and continue to contribute a stipend of money that is dedicated to the Vivian Silver Award. Any teen going into grade 11 or grade 12 or graduating grade 12 can apply for it. And it basically is an award that encompasses all one can about Judaism, philanthropy, just in general kindness, because we really want such an amazing and generous gift to go to someone that really embodies what Vivian Silver embodied. And so we give one AZA and one BBG at our end of year gala, which usually is the first week of June. We present these awards and certificates, and the recipients will receive a $500 each as a token of gratitude for everything they've contributed to the community.
Right. Jonah, you're the professional staff. What was your, if any, teen involvement in BBYO?
I started in 2011. I graduated high school in 2014. That's kind of when my BBYO experience ended, but I always really had a drive and a push to stay involved. And so when the opportunity came to work professionally for BBYO, I jumped at it. And as of November, it'll be year 5 for me. So the progress has been steadily improving since I started in 2021, and I'm proud to say we have been a thriving region since.
Tell us the numbers.
Sure. So we have well over 200 members active. At certain points, we're north of 250, closing in on 275. We are essentially a one city region. So the idea that we are able to have a fairly decently sized region is, I believe, pretty impressive. All of our programming is within 45 minutes away from our JCC, which has incredibly helped keep engagement at an all-time high, especially with everything going on. It's been a pleasure to be a part of.
Why do they still have BBG and AZA separately?
So I'm dealing with this right now, and now we offer chapters, and there's AZA chapters, there's BBG chapters, and there's BBYO chapters now, which is a mix of AZA and BBG. I'm in an AZA chapter, but you can choose whichever chapter you want to be in. But I think the beauty in separate chapters is that, as my dad said, it's a fraternity, it's a sorority. BBG is a sorority, AZA is a fraternity. And you're really building that brotherhood and sisterhood in a way that I don't think is really available to high schoolers nowadays. You are kind of thrown into the mix, either in a public high school of more than 2,000 kids, or you're in a Jewish school, whatever it may be. And you want to find that group of people where you can be safe around, you can just hang out with, no stress, and at least in AZA, and delve into the moral principles that have founded our movement. And now that we have made BBYO chapters too, there's a great deal of accessibility for all who want to experience in BBYO.
Does a person have to be Zionist to join? Or do they have to be halachically Jewish to join? Is there any leeway on that?
That's a good question. In BBYO, you do not need to be a Zionist. There is in the Blue Book, in AZA at least, I know for sure there's stuff about patriotism, about loving your country, and there's elements that definitely hint at a devotion to the people of Israel, so the Jewish people for sure, and to God. So to answer your second question about being halachically Jewish, you don't need to be. You can be an atheist Jew. The main thing is that you identify as a Jew, whether that be according to Chabad or according to the Reform movement. It really doesn't matter because you'll find a community.
Yeah, I would just add to that I come from an era where Zionism is not a dirty word. And I would say that BBYO is a Zionist organization. It's not a barrier to entry. There's not a litmus test. You're not asked to raise your hand and swear to this or that. But BBYO sends thousands of kids to Israel over the year. Israel is at the heart of BBYO.
After October 7th, did you see an uptick, anyone, maybe Winnipeg, I don't know, in people wanting to have that space, as Levi was mentioning, be sort of with other Jewish kids?
I think in terms of like the overall membership, I don't know if it was a crazy impact, but I will tell you that in terms of how our membership decided to focus on a lot of their inner Judaism was just a massive change post October 7th. There was way more of an emphasis on what it means to be Jewish in a community, the importance of what it means to truly be Jewish and what it means to embrace each and everybody's individual Judaism and make everyone more communally tied.
I'd say we're seeing the same thing as Jonah, that want for Jewish community and to be around other Jewish kids.
I mean, just look at your numbers, Levi. I mean, there was this period of sort of there was a bit of a desert, and then BBYO has grown from the 4 or 10 kids that were in it when Levi's older brother joined to the 200 now. And there is no doubt that some of what we see in synagogues as October 8th Jews, we're certainly seeing that at the youth end of things as well, and it's wonderful. It's terrific.
Are they mostly kids from your day school, from King David, or what is the sort of the mix of your members?
Actually, no, we're seeing a lot of participation from Jews in public schools, and now we're even seeing more from Jews commuting in from rural areas of Vancouver and BC, like Richmond and Ladner and all over BC. And there's definitely a group coming from the Jewish day school, but there's an even stronger group that wants to participate coming from the smaller communities.
Makes sense. I do want to ask, now that you're talking about alumni, so people of a certain age who'll be listening to this show, there is 100 years of BBYO and AZA and BBG 80, as you said, in Canada. What role is the alumni group going to have, or is it having, in the 100th anniversary celebrations in Canada?
I mean, I can tell you that if you're a BBYO alum, you should go to bbyo.org. Right there on the homepage is a link to join the alumni network. One of the challenges is there's over 500,000 BBYO alumni in North America alone. But, this is, again, back in the day before there was the internet or databases. And so we don't really know about a lot of them before 2000, only through the social networks that we have. So BBYO was trying to build a database of our alumni to connect you with the friends that you had through high school. And of course, to keep raising the funds that sustain this organization. It's not just about giving money, but about giving leadership. We need advisors. Every chapter has a volunteer advisor or needs one that serves as a big brother, big sister to these teens. And it's such a critical role.
Okay, final words. How do you predict what it's going to look like for the next few years?
I think it's going to look just like it did when I was growing up and like it looks like now. The other night, there was a BBYO poker night in our living room with Levi and his friends. And though I wasn't allowed anywhere near the table, I even offered to deal and to shuffle. They were doing the same things that I did as a teenager, as is my daughter, in her BBG chapter. So I don't think that BBYO is going to change because fundamentally, kids are kids and teens are teens, and they need this. Technology cannot replace personal connection and the intimacy that comes with just being with your buddies. In fact, maybe we need that more than ever. So I don't think it's going to change. It's only going to keep going strong.
And Levi, what do you want to say about, you're aging out too? You're going to go off to college soon, so.
I don't know what it is, and I've seen BBYO all over. I've seen it in the United States, at camp, at convention. I really know what each community is about. In BBYO, we track membership, and we have something called paper members. And these are members that are not active anymore, but they're members. They made the one-time payment. They became a member. And I think in Canada, and I'm going to take the liberty of saying this for many of our communities, we have practically zero paper members. And I think that might come from the tight-knit community of Jews in Canada, but it's really become an incredibly strong community, and the communities that we're building in BBYO across Canada. It's incredible to see as someone who's gone all over to other communities in the United States, and I think we're on a great path in Canada.
Such a diplomat, so well spoken.
I am shipping nachas like you wouldn't believe right now.
Well, I can see why. It's been an honor to speak to the three of you. Thank you so much for making time for us on the CJN's North Star podcast. It's great to talk to you all.
Thank you for having
Thank you.
us. Thank you.
Of course, thank you.
I'm Ellen Besner, and this is what Jewish Canada sounds like for this episode of North Star, made possible thanks to the Ira Gluskin and Maxine Gronowski-Gluskin Charitable Foundation. Levi's got another 6 months in his term as treasurer, a great training ground for somebody who's passionate about finance and wants to major in it at university. Our show is produced by Zachary Judah Kaufman and Andrea Varsany. Michael Freeman's the executive producer, and our theme is by Brett Higgins. Now, just a note, we are looking to tell some interesting Hanukkah stories or events to showcase. Send me your story tips. We're at info@thecjn.ca. Thanks for listening.